You did everything they told you. Go to college, get the degree, and now you're staring down tens of thousands of student loan debt. What they didn't tell you, how that debt follows you around. It occupies your mental space, takes a chunk of your monthly budget, and keeps you from feeling free. But here's the thing, you don't have to let those loans define your future. In this video, I will walk you through 10 practical steps to get a handle on your student loan debt and start the payoff process so you can finally start living on your own terms. Before we get to it, let me introduce myself. My name is Catherine Agapchan. I'm a personal finance educator. I'm an elder millennial, and when I graduated from college, I too had debt. And what I will tell you as someone who has spent decades in the workforce, spent years paying off student loan debt, that the faster you can pay off your debt, the faster you can use your money to do the things that you want. Here at Sisters for Financial Independence, I share money content and money lessons to help women through all stages of life get better with their money. We deserve more. And I will tell you that there's a whole other life after student loans. A life where you have more money, more time and space, and a life where you can actually use your money to live in the present. That's what I want for you. So I hope this video is helpful. And let me know in the comments if you have any questions along the way. Let me be upfront that having student loans totally sucks across the board. But if you are in your 20s, it's kind of expected. So use your time to pay it off and work the suck factor. But if you are in your 30s, having student loans can really put a damper on your financial goals. So if you are in your 30s, then put in the effort to really figure out a way to bring down those loans. And if you're in your 40s, note that now your money is competing with having a family, with your other goals. So the faster you can pay off your student loans, the better for your overall well-being and for your future. Many of the videos here at Sisters for Fi are step-by-step guides, so you know what to do for the first step and then move on from there. Like this video here, if you want to pay off your credit card, or this video about emergency funds. This video will work the same, and you can check the description for timestamps if you want to jump ahead to another step. Step 1 is to understand your loans. The first thing we need to do is know how much we owe. So it's time to start compiling a list of your loans, including balances, interest rates, loan types. So you need to know whether your loans are private or federal, and if federal loans are subsidized or unsubsidized. You also want to list down when it's due, a minimum payment, as well as any other information that they give you. Having this information can help you prioritize which loans you want to tackle first, which one is already accumulating interest. Now, you don't need a fancy worksheet to do this. Just grab yourself a piece of paper, use Google Sheets, but I will show you a free tool that you can use to track your loans. Tracking is important here because 1, we want to see our progress, and 2, we also want to make sure that we are accounting for each loan so we don't miss one in our repayment structure. It's super important that we understand all of our loans here. Some of the loans you have may not be due yet, so you might want to put that on the lower priority list. You might have some loans that are already accumulating interest. Look at your private loans. Look at your federal unsubsidized loans. For those kinds of loans, the interest rates on those would have started accumulating the minute they were dispersed. If you have a loan that was dispersed back when you were a first year, some of the interest has already started on those, so you want to look to see what you can prioritize as far as payoff. Now that we have a list of our loans and can prioritize what we need to pay off first, it's time to choose a repayment strategy. There are 2 debt payoff strategies that are very popular. The first one is called the avalanche method, and the avalanche focuses on paying loans with the highest interest rates. This helps you save more money in interest. The second option is the snowball method, and with this method, you pay off the smallest balance first to get quick wins and build momentum. For both of these strategies, you still need to pay the minimum across all of your other debts. You are just trying to figure out how you want to prioritize your payoff and where you want to be sending extra payments to. But at this point, in step 2, you have a priority list of your debt, which one is due and which one is accumulating interest. And 2, now that you know the priority list of your loans, you're going to choose a strategy that works for you in terms of where to send extra payments to get your loans down as quickly as possible. If your loans have very similar interest rates, the snowball method might be more effective as it produces quick wins and can keep you motivated to keep paying off those loans. Of course, you can also do a hybrid approach when it comes to repayment. For a period of time, you might want to be focusing on the ones with the smallest balance. That way you get it out and over with, and then switch to the one with the high interest. You want to be flexible with your repayment strategy, but you want a strategy in place. The snowball method also works best if you don't consolidate your loans, because you want to see all of your loans line by line and see those balances separately. The snowball method is one of the most effective ways to pay off these kinds of loans. If you want to learn about the psychological impact of using the snowball method, I've linked a video in the description and you can check it out here as well, so you can learn more about how to use the snowball method effectively to pay off those student loans, especially those ones that have smaller balances. Step 3 in this process is to really get to know the student loan calculators that are out there. I want you to play with the numbers. And while you don't have to know all of the math behind the calculators, it's important to understand one key thing. When you are paying off debt, you are basically buying yourself time in the future. Play around with the numbers. Figure out what $100 of payments means today and what they can mean for your future. It could mean 1 month less that you'll have to pay on your student loans. That is a huge deal. I will link a few recommendations for student loan calculators that you can use to play around with your numbers. One of my favorite tools to help you manage all of this is the Vertex Debt Calculator. It's free for a set number of loans. I want to show you the debt calculator so you can see what that looks like and you can see what those extra payments will mean for the future. So here we are. I just copied a template of the debt reduction calculator. Link is in the description to get your own template. And I just entered a few loans here along with the balance, the rate, and the payment. We want to prioritize our loans. So if there's something in here that is not due yet and it's not accumulating interest, we might want to do a custom list for our loans. But for this example, I have around 31,500 of loans that need to be paid off. And the total for monthly is 270. But I want to work this faster. So I am going to put more money into it. And in this example, I have $530 to put towards my debt. And you can use this entire calculator to figure out what's the best way. Now I have the strategy here for avalanche. So that's paying the highest interest first. And in this case, it's this loan, private number 2 at 8.75% of interest. So you'll see the list here too. And then it tells you the payoff date for all of our loans. If I follow this strategy and this plan, paying an extra $530, I would have all of this paid off by April 2029. That's soon. That's sooner than you think. So you want to play around with it. What if you have an extra $100 to put in there? So let's do that. So before it was April 2029. Now let's adjust and have it November 2028. This is what I'm talking about understanding the calculator, understanding the math behind it, but also playing around with the numbers so you can adjust and figure out a faster way to pay down your loans. This is significant. It's $100 a month, and now you basically have a few months of your life back to you where you're not laying out this monthly payment. That's a huge deal. That means you can do more with your money and live in the present. Step 4 is to set your goals and tell someone. Now that you know how much you owe, you have a sense of your repayment strategy, it's time to create those goals and let someone else know that you have a goal in mind. Get those accountability partners in place. It could be someone in your family, friends, it could be strangers on social media. Let your goal out into the universe so you set the intention. The Vertex tool that I showed you earlier showed us a payoff date, and you can use that as a benchmark for achieving your goals. Gamify the payoff process. Set mini goals on a weekly, monthly, yearly basis. Create a spreadsheet. Put up some tracking worksheets in your room so that you can stay focused and motivated. Paying off debt is not easy. You are paying off something that you did in the past, and there is no tangible reward when you pay off debt, and that can be hard. So you need to figure out ways to celebrate those milestones. When I was in the process of paying off my student loans, my big goal was to put the payoff letter on my parents' fridge at home, because it wasn't just a win for me, it was a family win. My mom was a nurse and she worked overtime as an ICU nurse to cash flow 2 kids in college. So imagine that. She'll be working 12-hour shifts and then maybe do another shift so she could earn more money so that my sister and I didn't have to take on a lot of student loan debt. Because of her hard work and dedication, I graduated with $20,000 of student loan debt. Now, I know you might be thinking, wow, only $20,000? That seems very little. At that point in time, it was a lot. I had never been in debt before. I didn't know what $20,000 would mean, and I didn't know how much effort it would take to pay off. Now, we normalize $200,000 worth of student loan debt. It's unfathomable to me how that is. But when I finally did pay it off and I received that letter in the mail and they tell you, congratulations, all of your loans have been paid off, I automatically went to my parents' house and I put that letter highlighted on their fridge next to my youngest sister's artwork so that we could all celebrate finally getting off debt, finally getting an education and not having to worry about it. When my other sister graduated from her dual undergrad and graduate school degree, she also made it a goal to have her student loans paid off by 30. She will be turning 30 this year, and I'm happy to report that she is on track to do that. You can learn more about her story and why she decided to make that a goal for herself in the link in the description. One of the things that she told me is that there was a plan for student loans to be paid off within 10 to 25 years. And she adamantly hated that plan. She wanted it done faster. Hopefully, by the end of the year, we can celebrate her being debt-free from student loans. Step 5 is a 3-parter, and that is to budget, live below your means, and make more money. A budget is you assigning every dollar that you earn a job. Now, at the beginning of the month, you will map out where your money is going. Of course, it can go to fun stuff, but you will likely have to limit the fun stuff to prioritize debt repayment so you can save money on interest, have more in the future, and be able to invest. Now, here's the reality. Everybody wants your money. We live in a capitalistic society. That influencer, they want your money. The coffee shop down the street, they want your money. But if you are not careful, you could end up at the end of the month with nothing to show for your money. So you want a plan for your money and budget well so that you prioritize those debt repayments. What you'll likely realize when you start budgeting and prioritizing your debt payoff is that you don't make enough to live the lifestyle that you have and to quickly pay off your student loan debt. And this is where it's necessary to make more money. This means finding another job, figuring out a side income or a side hustle or a side job that can bring in something additional. A part of step 5 is to use your budget to live below your means. One of the key ways that you can get your debt paid off much faster is to really look at the difference between your income and your expenses, and any extras goes towards debt payoff. I want to share with you a concept called the baseline luxury, and it basically is all about your current life. And for many of you that might have graduated recently, your baseline level of luxury might be a little high. It might be high because the college or university you went to has designed it that way. You might have lived in a brand new dorm room. You might have lived in a space where there is a Starbucks down the street, a sweet green, and other nice amenities. What this means is that you are now coming to expect those things when you get out of college. Unfortunately, those things cost money. They are expensive, and whether you realize it or not, a part of that kind of lifestyle might have been subsidized by your loans, by your room and board, by so many other things. I want you to think about what that means as you leave the college space. What will that look like? Will that mean that you're able to afford a luxury apartment building? Likely. So you want to find affordable housing. You might not get a lot of those amenities, and you might not be able to get takeout every day. Recognize that truth and recognize that maybe this is not the time for me to have all those things, but in the future I will be able to get those things without debt hanging over my head. The advice often says to continue to live like like you are a broke college student once you are out of school. This helps you pay off your loans faster. But as someone who did grow up and watch some of these newer buildings, fancier dorms with amenities get put up next to her dinky dorm, it was hard to see. But it was also hard to see that many of the students did not realize that there was a price to pay for that. So if this is the case for you, just sit with that hard truth and make changes to your lifestyle now so that in the next few years you can afford those things again. I know that's hard to hear, but it might be the reality now. If this video has been helpful, give it a thumbs up, and I want you to share it with a friend who is also going through the repayment process. Consider subscribing to Sisters for Fi for more money tips to help you with your money. Step 6 in this process to pay off your student loans is to automate your payments. Automatic payments ensures that you never miss a payment that can ding your credit report, that can impact your credit score and future borrowing. For federal student loans, you may receive an interest rate discount if you sign up for autopay. So look to see if that option is there. Normally, this will be around 0.25% in interest, which doesn't seem like much, but it could be significant over the course of years and the course of how many loans you have. If you have private loans, some lenders may also offer this if you set up autopay. So look to see if that's an option. If you don't see it, call them up, see if you can negotiate that as an option for your loans. Here are some private lenders who do offer a discount on autopay, so check to see if your loans are with them and then make sure you get the discount. Remember I said to play around with those calculators? Now go back to your calculators and see what the difference will be if you shave off 1% or even 2% across your loans. Remember, if you have a whole list of loans and you would need to pay that off fast, a 1% discount can save you big time, and it means maybe one less future payment down the line. Step 7 is to consider refinancing, but consider it carefully. If you have student loans above 7 to 8%, it might be a good idea to consider refinancing, but you have to see what the terms are and what the rates are. Refinancing is basically replacing an existing debt with a new debt with better terms and better interest rates. So you want to see what the current interest rates are and see if you can get something better than what you currently have. Here's the thing when it comes to refinancing. You want, again, to go back to your priority list and figure out which loans make sense to refinance. You don't have to refinance all of your loans at once, but you might want to be able to do 1, 2, or 3 at a time and find the best rate for you. The goal of refinancing is to get you better terms, help you save more money when it comes to interest, as well as help you pay it off faster. Don't forget that when you refinance with private lenders, you can negotiate to get the best terms possible. In order to do this, you will need to check your rates against multiple lenders. Currently, there are a bunch of companies out there that allow you to refinance student loans. So check them out. See if you can get their rates and try to pitch them against each other. Let them know that, hey, SoFi offered me this rate. Could you match it? Ernest gave me this bonus. Could you match it? See and find and negotiate the best rates possible to get the best refinancing solution for your student loans. I know that negotiating takes time and effort, but doing so could literally save you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. So it's worth considering that 1 week's worth of emails could save you a whole year of payments. So get to work. Right now, interest rates across the board are a little bit high, so refinancing might not be the best option, but do keep this step in mind should economic changes change. Rates are dependent on your credit history and your credit score. The more you pay off your loans, the more you make those consistent on-time payments, the better your credit score and the better rates you will have in the future. So keep this in your back pocket if refinancing is not yet an option for you today. You can refinance federal student loans, but I am going to discourage you from doing so because you will lose out on some federal protections and benefits that those loans come with. If you remember, during COVID time, the federal government paused payments on federal student loans, and that allowed people to either catch up on payments or not have interest accruing. When you refinance, you won't have those benefits and protections anymore. So you want to be careful with this. Federal student loans also come with their own benefits, like the ability to use the income-driven repayment plan or forbearance or other benefits. If your loans have been dispersed in the last few years, your rates for undergrad federal loans will typically be under 7%, and for grad loans will be a little bit higher, but that might be manageable. Again, review and prioritize which makes sense to refinance. Step 8, and maybe unpopular, but don't go to grad school. Take the job instead. I know it can be tempting to kick this debt down the future. And maybe you've heard online that going to grad school can allow you to defer paying it off. And while I absolutely believe in higher education and the earning potential of a graduate degree, having this debt sit for some time, having interest accumulate on it, has its downsides. Here's the deal. If you have federal loans, enrolling at least half time in an eligible graduate program typically triggers an automatic in-school deferment for your federal student loans, meaning you don't have to make payments while you're in school. But if you have unsubsidized federal student loans, interest will continue to accrue. This is money that could be used for other things to living your life. So be careful with this. Now, if you have private student loans, deferment policies for private student loans typically vary per lender. So you'll want to contact them to see what it will mean if you go to grad school. Here's my take on this. Getting advanced degrees can help with your career and can help you get paid more. But I am only going to suggest going to grad school if you are absolutely sure it plays an impact in your income and career advancement immediately, and if someone else can pay for it. What happens when you go to grad school is that 1, you lose out on income, and 2, you allow this debt to accumulate in interest. So unless there is a guarantee, there is a good ROI on your graduate degree, make this decision carefully. Deferment is not loan forgiveness. You'll still be responsible for paying the full loan amount plus any accrued interest once you graduate or drop to half-time enrollment. My biggest fear is that you go to grad school, only spend a year there, and now have another year of graduate loans that you have to pay for. And note that graduate student loans are at higher interest rates, so it means you're adding more to your debt. I want to share that it's absolutely possible to find a company to help pay for grad school. That is what I did. I accepted a corporate job straight out of college and learned that my company had a higher education benefit. I didn't think I qualified because I had joined the company, but they didn't have those requirements. I was lucky enough to get my graduate degree paid for by my employer. Now, I know you might not have a lot of these options, but search and see what the options are within your company. If you work for a large corporation, chances are they have a higher education benefit. And it doesn't hurt to ask when you finally get a job offer or to negotiate those kinds of things, so you have at least some buffer so that you can have someone else pay for those loans while you pay your existing debt. Was it easy working full-time and then going to graduate school part-time? No, it wasn't, but sometimes we do have to do these things so we can create a better future for ourselves. Step 9 is to make those extra payments strategically. Now, any additional funds that you have should be directed toward the principal of the loan with whatever method you're using. So when you do list and prioritize your student loans, and now you have those extra dollars coming in, make sure you tell your loan servicer that you want any extra payments to go to the principal. You might need to call them up, you might need to email them, but make sure they know what to do with those payments. Remember that interest accumulates over time, so the faster you can send any extra money to your debt, the faster you can get it paid off. So this means if you get paid a certain frequency, maybe weekly, consider doing a weekly send of payments to your student loans instead of waiting for that due date. This can allow you to pay off your loans that much faster. So be strategic with your payments as well as your payment frequency. Now, when we looked at the Vertex calculator, we saw that adding that extra $100 means saving ourselves months of payments. So when you think about these extra payments, I know it can hurt to have to let go of $100 or $200 this month or next month, but you also want to be looking about this in the future. How much time will this save you? How many less months of payments will putting an extra $200 do to you today? Step 10, and likely hard to hear, but do not wait for loan forgiveness. It's not going to come. There is currently a bill in Congress that is about to rehaul the student loan system. There is a bunch of executive orders that are pausing loan forgiveness, pausing the SAVE plan, changing the income-driven repayment plans. So instead of relying on those, rely on yourself. Figure out a way to pay off your student loans. In this video, I have given you 9 other steps to help you manage your student loans and figure out a repayment strategy that works for you and a strategy that helps you save money and gets you out of that much faster. So don't rely on loan forgiveness. Don't do that to yourself. Figure out a repayment strategy that works for you. I know that you can do it, and I know many of you have done it. So if you have paid off your student loans, share your best tips in the comments and let's help each other out. Lastly, as you enter different milestones in your life, as you have children, as your kids get ready to go to college, have those college conversations early, have those affordability conversations early so you can plan ahead. Now you know what it feels like to have to go through paying off student loans. So teach your kids why you want to avoid that and how to avoid it. The only way we can stop this cycle from continuing to spin is if we get off it and also let others know what could happen if they get on the ride. So be direct when you have kids, when you're ready for them to go to school, that you can only afford this and you want to limit them taking out student loans. I know student loans can be tough and it can be daunting to face the music when it comes to starting the payoff process, but it is necessary, and I promise you when you get to the other side, you can now finally use your money to live in the present as well as invest. Now, one of the big things that might come up as you pay off your student loans is that should you buck down and only pay off student loans and not invest? I am on the mindset of doing both at the same time. Invest, but also pay off your student loans. That way, when you finally pay off your student loans, you also have a chunk of change already investing for your future self. To learn more about investing and the basics of it, I am going to recommend this video. If you should really be paying down your loans or investing and doing both, this video is going to be for you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.